Hello people, it's 10th X from Chaos Realm, and well, I brought you this tutorial for, well, one of the main reasons is, honestly, recently, all the maps with their spells, with their eye candy spells coming out recently, to put it blunt, they're all crap. Reason is, they're not done well, the spells. They're just a spam of special effects. Sure, it may look cool, but the gameplay is absolutely ruined with that kind of spells. So I'm going to teach you with 5 points on how to make a basic spell. Point number 1. Okay, so to start off with, the first point I need to make is the amount of units when casting a spell. If you haven't guessed already, but having many units on screen at the same time in Warcraft 3 causes it to lag, and obviously this is bad. To prevent this, you should try to adjust spells to use the least amount of units. So yeah, first basic point. Second, as I said previously with the units, even if one spell doesn't cause lag, you've got to take into mind that it's not just one spell that will be cast at a time in any map. It may be multiple spells, which means multiple units. So take that into mind. I would restrict each spell to around 10 units at a time. So the only way it would lag if about 10 plus spells are casted at the same time, and that's highly unlikely unless it's well, actually no. Even if it is a hero arena map, the amount of units you should have casting spells is about 10, 12, so yeah. Next we have is, well, I don't know why I've written this, but reducing units when keeping the same effects. Basically this means is, for example, you have a beam spell or something, and beam spells take up a lot of units when casting them, and it's best to reduce this by increasing the size of each unit. That will produce the same effect, just slightly larger, and this will reduce the amount of units in each spell. Now this is another reason why I got well read through up, is the decay time, which is really important for spells if you're using add expiration timer to certain units, because they'll have a little bit of time before they decay, and thus they'll still be on the actual map, which may cause lag. Also applies to spells like healing spray, where the missiles will not decay. So in order to do this, go to gameplay constants, click use custom gameplay constants if you haven't already, go to decay time and set it to around, I don't know, 2 seconds, seems about right, or 1 if you're fussy. This will apply to everything including heroes though, take that into mind. So yeah, do that. And of course models have particles as well, which are basically 2D textures emitted from a model. These aren't really a giant problem, only if used in mass quantities, which you will notice because it'll lag. Now, the final for this part is the fact that blinding spells, are bad. Because if you're playing a game and you suddenly see a giant white light and you can't see what the fuck's going on, no one likes that, do they? You should only use it if it's intended for a spell effect or something like that. So, in other words, reduce the size of the effects or change the brightness. Transparency, and that should be it for this part. If I've said anything wrong, go ahead and point it out. Point number 2. Okay, here I am with part 2, and let's see, what shall I explain first? Right, first of all, the first thing I need to get through to you with is beam spells. They are very popular in anime style maps, and there is a huge major problem with them. Let me adjust my microphone. The fact is they use a lot of units, and people don't seem to understand that. So basically like this, you produce 1 unit every, I don't know, 0.03 seconds, and generally the decay time is around 2 seconds for spells, or until the distance reached the ends. So that ends up with about 20 plus units, and that's stupid, as I've explained in the first part. Also, there's another thing you have to keep in mind. If you think, oh no, this effect doesn't look great for this spell, don't go adding some random lightning effect to it with a unit, because that will just stack up the lag, and 2 beam spells will probably destroy Warcraft 3. And as I've explained in the first part, you can adjust it with making it bigger and stuff like that. Next is combo type spells. If you don't know what these are, basically it's where a unit hits the other unit many times, and generally people just spam as much effects as they can in this. Same with the beam spells. Yeah, anyway, basically same with beam spells. It causes a lot of units to be spawned for a second, so either use special effect or just keep it to 1 unit thing. And finally, terrain deformations. Terrain deformations, it doesn't go for everyone, but they cause a lot of lag when used, so it's a good idea to just ignore them completely. And yeah, that's all I have to say for this part. See you in the next part.
Point 3.
Okay, so here's part 3, and this should be a short part since I'm going to explain the use of special effects over units. Now, special effects are made using a trigger in actions called create special effect, under special effects, wherever it is, let me find it. Yep. It can be either created at a point or on a unit, and after you created it, you should use the trigger destroy last created special effect, preventing it from staying there and causing memory to be taken up. And also, if you use it on a point, if you use destroy last created special effect, it will play the stand animation, so you don't need to worry about that. However, if you use it on a unit, you would need to set the special effect and then destroy it later when it's done. Now, I should explain this first, but the difference between a special effect and a unit is very important. A unit, when it's on screen, it will take up a lot more memory because it contains unit data such as height, movement speed, stuff like that. However, a special effect doesn't, it just contains faces and particles. Now, obviously the advantage is the fact that each special effect would take up less data, means it can be used a lot more and would lag a lot less. However, special effects have a disadvantage where they can't be resized at all, or the height can't be changed, so there's a disadvantage. However, I was just for using it over stuff like attack effects or smashing on the ground effects. So yeah, simple as that. Point number 4. Okay, so here we are in part 4. I'm going to explain how about invulnerabilities and pauses, which seem to be a huge problem in maps recently. To put this simply, pauses and vulnerabilities can absolutely ruin gameplay, and in maps like Enemy Fantasy and I don't know, basically your maps around that area use it a lot, and in general they're bad. Invulnerabilities should never be used because, well, to put it simply, they can't really put this into words, but it just ruins everything. If you try to cast a spell and another person casts a spell, you're both invulnerable, no damage. It just gets really annoying and nearly impossible to damage another person when someone casts a spell that lasts 5 seconds and they're invulnerable for that entire 5 seconds. So yeah, basically, don't use invulnerable. Instead, make it so if someone dies when casting a spell, it stops. Or just don't make it invulnerable at all. Next, pauses, which are also a huge problem. I've seen a lot of spells that from anime, which basically they have like a 5-set cast time and you're paused and you can't cancel it. This can be annoying because, as I said recently, if you cast that and someone becomes invulnerable, you can't stop it. Then you're stuck there for another bloody 10 seconds doing some random bullshit combo. And yeah. Alternatives for this, well, pauses, they can be used in certain situations. Why am I creating random triggers? For example, you're doing a dash spell or a combo spell, and if it will be your unit will be interrupted, like you can walk away or something like that during the spell if you're not paused. So there's some points that you can use pause, but invulnerability should only be used if you're making it a spell effect. Now, I've also seen people using pauses for stuns and stuff like that, which is bad because they can become unpaused and the stun will have absolutely no effect. For alternatives to this, there are 2 spells which should cover the entire way of pausing, which is Fireball, which is single target pause, and War Stomp, which is an area of effect stun. Yeah, they're the base spells you use. Should attach them to a dummy unit and use the commands order last created unit to War Stomp or Fireball target unit. So yeah, that's it for this part. Okay, so I'm back with part 5, and this part is, well, something I added in just for the sake of it. It's about fine tuning, which is very important when you making a spell. Now, the first point I want to get is making a fine balance of the special effects used in the spell. You don't want it to be overdone. For example, let me get this right. Let's create a unit with, let's see, I'll just go and use the spiderweb spell since it's the most common, well, it's the one I can use as an prime example here, if I can actually find it. I think it's in abilities, or it's in buffs. It's in buffs. Sorry about this. I should have prepared this. Yeah, ground. Now, generally when units are being created in a spell, let's make this bigger because it's way too small. No, do not want to open that. Do not look at that chat. And also it's way too low, so if I go to movement, change the type to fly because that's generally a good idea, and set to 110. Yeah, so if you look at this, actually it's my prime example, but when the units are created with triggers, they will always be facing the same direction, and this looks a bit superficial. So when creating a unit, you should always make it face a random angle using units. Create a unit if I can find it. Where am I going? Create a unit, face an angle, and set the facing angle to maths random angle. So it'll produce effect where everything looks different each time you cast a spell. And also, speaking of balance, if you get a beam spell and the start of the beam looks generally terrible because it just looks like it comes out of nowhere, so you use something like a revive special effect to add more, well, fleshiness. So yeah, you should do that instead of adding more units into the spell like I explained earlier to prevent lag and to make it actually look quite neat. Right, so the next part is when creating the spell, the best idea is to not go ahead and make the special effect before you even get the mechanics of the spell down, because if you get the mechanics down and if you get the effects down and you realise you need to change it all because the mechanics do not match up with the effect. For example, the AoE looks way too big, or there are more more units created than desired. So yeah, the basic idea, I use Notepad, set up a skill set, and then I create the basic skill without any special effects to see how it would work, and then you add effects in after, which is the best idea. Now the final thing I wouldn't show you is using the FPS function to check how much lag is happening within each spell. Now it should be simpler to tell you this. Okay, so we're on Warcraft 3. To get onto the FPS, why am I selecting this? You just type in the chat /FPS, and up here you can see numbers appear. So I'm at 60, but so generally each spell should drop me maximum to around 55 or 50 maximum. That's what I would say, but everyone has a different FPS.
Righto.
So yeah, that's really the final part I can say for the fine tuning. If I have anything missing, tell me and I'll add it into the description or something like that.
Off I go then.
Okay, and I'm done with that for now, so let me just exit this. Okay, that was the end of this. I hope this was ever so slightly helpful to some of you. I think I failed actually during recording quite a few times, but yeah. So yeah, see ya, visit Chaos Realm, and look at my new project, Battle of the Summit, if you want to.